No, wait a minute. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus. Leviticus! There you go. You know how you remember that, right? Grandma Esther loves nice dogs. Come on, Grandma Esther loves nice dogs. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. I told that to a colleague at school. And he was so thrilled. I think he's Baptist. And he's been telling me, apparently they have the Bible too. He's been telling me all week how he and his wife go over it at breakfast. Okay? I'm warm.
All week, how he and his wife, Baptist friends, goes over grandma.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the summary of Vayikra, Leviticus, which is deathly boring. And then I'm going to talk about the nature of prayer in the sense that does God listen to our prayers? Okay? Let's go over Vayikra, Leviticus really quick. You've got different kinds of offerings. Now, why did people give offerings in ancient times? Any theories on that? Let me close the door.
Gain favor with
Gain favor with God, but why give an offering? Why not read him the daily news? I'm sorry, somebody else? Yes, wait. Guilt? Yes, we had a guilt offering. There was a guilt offering. There was the Korban Hasham, the guilt offering. What, Morty?
Support the priesthood.
Yes, you had to support the priesthood. They were not allowed to work. They were not allowed to farm. So 10% of the offerings went to the priests, the Kohanim and Leviim. That's true. What happens if a nice Israelite girl married a Kohen or a Levi? What did she have to eat? She had to eat hekdesh. She had to eat the tithe. She had to eat the maaser, the tithe, the 10%. What, Toby? What? 10%. You got 10 apples. God gets one. Okay. How does God get his apple? Well, technically, the priests and the Levites eat the apple, but practically speaking, you can make a baked apple, such as Nana used to make. Nana's baked apples were a wonder to behold. She used no-cal ginger ale. Remember no-cal ginger ale? And she put on Light and Lively cottage cheese. This was the only thing you could find in her house, even approximating a sweet thing. She didn't eat cake. She was always on a diet. She didn't have a weight problem, really. And we all got to eat a baked apple. And they were only slightly burnt. That's why I think of the burnt apples when I think of giving God his apple. Technically, you don't give God his apple that way. God apparently is a carnivorous God, and when they roasted the kosher parts, well, they were all kosher. Well, no, the front end. The four quarters, we know about that. Jews don't eat the hindquarters, no porterhouse, right? No sirloin. In a kosher restaurant, you can get a piece of kosher meat cut to resemble a sirloin, but it's still quivering because Jews don't age their meat. I remember once years ago walking down Broadway, and I was naive as anybody could imagine. I was even wearing my yarmulke in Midtown. Who wears a yarmulke in Midtown? And I came upon a steakhouse, and hanging there in the front window was a huge haunch of meat quietly deteriorating. That's how they tenderized it. And it scared the heck out of me, and I think I ran away. Anyway, so that's the deal with sacrifices, okay? What else? So what have we got? Okay, we've got the Olah. Now the Olah, this is completely, I'm sorry to tell you, it's called the Holocaust. It's completely burned on the altar, and the smoke goes up to God. But that's really how it was translated. The Olah means that which goes up, okay? It must have been quite a spectacle. Now, I knew a rabbi once who told me that the Beit HaMikdash, the Holy Temple, was a slaughterhouse. Well, yeah, to some extent, but it was a huge complex, especially Herod's temple. It must have gone on for a couple of miles. So, and here's another thing. In the Talmud, it says that when they were slaughtering the meat, there were no flies. There was never a fly anywhere near any of the meat. It's in the Talmud.
A miracle.
You have to believe it. You don't have to.
You don't have to.
I think it is a hyperbole. It is a poetical exaggeration. This isn't bad. This is the Korban Shlamim, the peace offering. The one who brought the offering got to eat some of it. Well, that'll make you feel peaceful, I suppose. They burned parts on the altar and other parts were given to the priest. if you committed a sin, you gave an offering as well. But I don't really want to talk about that. This is Rabbi David Wolpe. Do we know Rabbi Wolpe? He's on the list of 50 greatest rabbis in the country, and he's part of the Wolpe family, which started out in Philadelphia. There's a book came out. Wow, time really goes by quickly in Florida. You know why? Because we have no external cues from nature telling us it is the spring, it is the fall, it is the winter. It is always Florida. I'm not complaining, okay? When we left New Hampshire, I left 3 perfectly good snow shovels in the garage and never looked back. And it was snowing. It was snowing when we left. It was God's way of saying, take care, Shalom. But anyway, Rabbi Wolpe is from Philadelphia. He's in Los Angeles now. And he writes, this is a wonderful website. You should check this out. It's called My Jewish Learning, okay? Just Google My Jewish Learning. You've used it? It's really very good. And this is tough. This is very, very tough. It's not so much praying to God and getting a positive answer. It's when you pray to God and God does not give you a positive answer. Of course, Harold Kushner wrote his famous book, When Bad Things Happen to Good People, which achieved the height of rabbinical fame. When we were living in North Carolina, went to Kroger. Anybody know Kroger? Mm-hmm. Kroger is where you're standing in line behind the guy with the lawnmower, the kitty litter, and the box of Tampax. At 3 o'clock in the morning. It was amazing. Anyway, Rabbi Wolpe writes about his mother who, towards the end of her life, had a terrible stroke. And there were 4 boys in the family. They all prayed that she should live and recover. Now, she did live, but her recovery was partial, and she had serious after effects. On the good side, what happened was Rabbi Wolpe, Sr., the father of the brood, he was going insane with worry over his wife's health. And members of the congregation would come and they would take him out to the restaurant, they would take him out golfing, things like that. Am I missing something? Okay. All right. Okay. So if you're a theological optimist, God would say, sure, I'm going to let your mother live. And all 4 boys are rabbis. And all 4 rabbis are praying and praying and praying. They're reading Tehillim. See, in Europe, they didn't have antibiotics. They didn't have any advanced medicine. All they had was, for example, if you had a fever, they would put you in bed, kill a pigeon, and put it at your feet. Because, as we all know, logically speaking, if you have a fever, the pigeon will draw the fever out of your body. Believe that? No. Neither do I. The other thing, now this is extreme cases, because I've done this. I mean, congregations have done this, I've led it. It's the Chevra Tehillim. It's the Psalm Reading Society. There are 150 Psalms in the book of Psalms. And this group of people, ordinary people, they just get together and read the book of Psalms together in Hebrew over and over and over again. Now, after you've read the book of Psalms together several times, and the person in question still passes away, what happened?
Didn't do it right.
You did it wrong. Exactly. Somebody left out a letter or a word. You didn't get it exactly right. But that's all they had in Europe. Now here, how do we deal with prayer? According to Rabbi Wolpe, yes, we pray when somebody is not well. Yes, we pray when somebody has had an accident. One of my boys in my class, Jeremy, beautiful kid, he's a veteran, he did a silly thing. He was riding a motor scooter in Florida. Do you know, if you ride a motor scooter in Florida with or without a helmet, you might as well put a target on your back. And he's going through a parking lot. You'd think at least in a parking lot there would be some measure of safety, but no. A person, happened to be a woman, was backing up her car, this big old SUV, because that's what we drive down here. You got to drive a tank-like vehicle. Nothing wrong with it, nothing wrong with it. And of course, she probably had the backup camera, right? We all have the backup camera.
No, not everybody.
You should get a backup camera. What you'll do, you have one.
Yes,
So,
but not everybody does. If you have an older car, you don't have a...
Right, so this is what you do if you don't have a backup camera. Watch. Or, that's how they taught me to drive. What?
Adjust the mirror, make sure you.
Yes, or you can adjust the mirror, but not while you're doing
Can't
it.
turn the heads of two.
Okay. Anyway, this woman clocked my boy. She hit my boy. Luckily, she wasn't going too fast. But he was out from school for 2 days, and when he came in, literally, I don't like the word literally, he had the cast. It wasn't a cast. It was like a brace from his hip all the way down to his ankle. I mean, he's a young boy. He'll recover, thank God. But it's really quite a thing. Now, is God going to reach out from heaven and perform a miracle? I had, for example, this is going back a ways, there was a gentleman belonged to this congregation. He has since moved back to the Northeast. And, you know, we always do a discussion after services, and we have some wonderful discussions. People, you know, we're Jews. We agree, we disagree. Mostly we disagree. But anyway, this man, every week, Rabbi, I have a question. I always knew it was the same question. I said, yes, Stuart. I said, what is your question? Why didn't God rescue the Jews during the Holocaust? And I said, Stuart, what floor do you live on? And he would say, the 12th floor. I said, after class today, I want you to go home. I want you to go on your balcony. I want you to jump off. Then when you come back next week, tell me if God rescued you or not. See, God, to what extent does God intervene in nature? Because in Judaism, and again, as with everything in Judaism, you can accept this or not, God is the Borei Olam, God is the creator of the universe, but he's also Hashgacha Pratit. His eye is on the sparrow. He is divine providence. God is in the details. It's a wonderful sentiment, but does it work out in real life? Now, I'm just going to tell you, you know, it's like everything else. Elie Wiesel said, in Judaism, the questions are always better than the answers. You ask a question when you're young, you ask the same question when you're old, but you can ask it from a higher level of experience. So, he doesn't have an answer either. And that was a man, let him rest in peace, who went through a terrible, terrible catastrophe, as we all know. He says, to say that God, this is Rabbi Wolpe now, and with this I'll conclude. To say that God does not cure illness is not to declare God irrelevant. We can invoke the strength, guidance, and love of God in our prayers. Calling out to God, we elevate ourselves. Seeking God through prayer, we can change our lives. Anybody satisfied with that? Yeah. I'm not. Because part of me agrees with Stuart. Part of me would like God to reach out of heaven and into human history and you know, change the frame of time and that kind of thing. But this is the point. We have each other. We live in a world where the technology threatens to divide us. If you look at your fellow human being and say, this is not just someone else, this is not just someone who can help me or I can make money off them, we are all made b'tselem Elohim. We raise each other up. That is the point. And so this Shabbat, I hope we will raise each other up with the help of our Chazan, our cantor, and later on we're going to do a meditation. Thank you so much. Shabbat Shalom.
Let's do the candles. Candles. See, I am improving my English. Okay, so, ladies, please.
Okay, we kind of coagulate in this direction.
Oh, I forgot to bring that I have it. Why, we have the wrong ones? You know, like the last.
Please rise.
Oops.
Okay, we wave our hands over the candles. We're bringing Shabbat. Cover our eyes and sing the blessing together. Baruch Adonai, Eloheinu melech olam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu, le'adlik ner shel Shabbat. Amen. Asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav V'tzivanu, v'tzivanu, le'adlik ner. V'tzivanu, v'tzivanu, le'adlik ner. V'tzivanu, v'tzivanu, le'adlik ner. Shel Shabbat. Amen. Please turn to the person next to you, wish them good Shabbat.
Bishops.
Good job, sweetheart. This thing is dirty.
Shabbat Shalom.
Good job, sweetheart. Good job, sweetheart. Step on that wire.
Somebody asked me where is my daughter. My daughter is at home today, but before I left my house, she says to me, "Papi, are you going to the synagogue, to the shul? Are you going to the shul?" Yes. Are you going to sing Shalom Aleichem? Yes. Okay. So she cleared it. Yeah. Shalom Aleichem.
All right, page 21 is the Lachadoti. 21.
Okay, so let's do a different one. So, you have to do a good hey.
Hey.
This is not a good hey. So, because the refrain
Refrain, very good.
okay, is going to be this way. Lechadodi likrat kala Shabbat de kabla. Hey! Lechadodi likrat kala Shabbat de kabla. Okay, so the hey.
Hey.
It has to be hey! Okay, muy bien. 1, 2, 3. Lechadodi likakala Shabbat de kabla. Hey! Lechadodi likakala Shabbat de kabla. Shamor besakor vediburecha ishmianu el ameyuchad Adonai echad ushmo echad leshevu letiferet veliftei lai lechadoli Shabbat de kabla. Hey! Lechadodi likakala Shabbat de kabla. Likrat Shabbat lechudenecha ki mekor aviracha merosh mikedem mesucha sof mahaseh b'shabbat techilai lechadodi likakala Shabbat de kabla. Hey! Lechadodi likakala
Funny thing happened to me.
Okay,
I can
now
do
the Kale can come.
I can do that next time.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Oh, the Shabbat Kala, the Sabbath Queen.
Yeah. So,
All right, please rise. Page 22, the fourth stanza. Face the door.
Hey, No comments.
It's very clear they didn't hire me because I dance. I don't dance. Don't ask me. All right. Thank you. I could do a mini win. All right, page 28. We're going to ask the Harrows to honor us by opening the ark, because they're the farthest away from the ark. They're getting closer. Incidental music plays here. Thank you so much. Nice to see you. Welcome. Okay, yes. Okay. Shabbat shalom. Oh, I see the curtain situation remains the same. Yes, the curtain, we have curtain fatigue. Yes. Okay.
Now page number 28. Mare cui t'adorare memora. Baruch Adonai Yaborach Leolam Vaed.
I think we close the doors in the absence of a curtain, but a curtain is on its way. Yes.
Curtains in the mail.
Yes. All right, please be seated.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר בדברו מרים הרבים בחוכמה פותח שערים, ובתבונה משנה עתים ומחלים את הזמנים ומסדר את הכוכבים במשמרותיהם ברקיע כרצונו, בורא יום ולילה, גולל אור מפני חושך וחושך מפני אור. ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה. אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, המרים ורבים.
Amen. Page 29.
אהבת עולם בית ישראל, עמך אהבת, תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו, ושופטנו וקומנו, נשיח בחוקך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך, ובמצוותיך, לעולם ועד. יהיה חיינו ואורך ימינו, ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגה יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל.
All right, on page 30 we have the Shema. We cover the eyes to show God cannot be seen. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kavod, Malchuto, Leolam Vaed. Let's read the English paragraph. You shall love. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. And these words which I command you this day you shall take to heart.
Teach them diligently to your children. Recite them at home in the way, night and day. Bind them as a sign upon your hand, and as a reminder above your eyes. Inscribe them upon the doorposts of your homes and upon your gates.
Reading silently, page 30 to the bottom. And continuing the first paragraph on 34.
ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני, אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני, אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Page 32, the middle of the page.
ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם, משה ובני ישראל לחנו שירה, בשמחה רבה, ואמרו כולם, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר הקודש, נורא זיכרון, עוזר מלכותך וראו בניך, בוקי הים לבני משה, צדיענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ולמרכיב אדוני דיעקב, וגיהנום יד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, God Israel.
As always, we dedicate the paragraph on the top left, 33, to folks we know in need of healing. We're also thinking this evening of that terrible massacre of our Muslim fellow Americans, and I really have nothing to say. It's a terrible, terrible thing. But we're going to go round, and if someone is in need of healing, I don't mean personally, but someone you know, Jewish, Gentile, friend, relative, anyone at all, please mention their name, and we'll dedicate a refuah shlema to them, a quick and speedy recovery. Okay. Yes. Refuah shlema. Yes.
Let's deal with Dr. Herbert Borowski.
Refuah shlema. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
David Weiner.
Refuah shlema. Okay. Yes.
Jerome Rader.
Refuah shlema. Back to you, Renee. Yes.
Jean Myers.
Refuah shlema. Yes, Paul.
Russell Schocker, Barton Reynolds, Seraphine
My
Klein,
sister-in-law's gonna have
Bart
surgery.
Dozer, Morty Fogel, Cy Bloom, Joel Shankman, and Stuart Epstein.
Refuah shlema. Yes.
Bruce Martin and Kenny Mahadeo.
Refuah shlema. Yes.
Nancy Austin,
Refuah shlema.
Todd Austin,
Refuah shlema.
Lisa Shapiro,
Refuah shlema.
Lauren Maurer,
Refuah shlema.
and Rose Lee.
Refuah shlema. Yes. Yes, Joseph.
Jose Gomez,
Refuah shlema.
Douglas Bernickel,
Refuah shlema.
Lisa Schoenberg.
Refuah shlema.
Lenny Seelig.
Refuah shlema. Yes. Yes.
Joel Koznick.
Refuah shlema.
Todd
Yes.
Pearl Katz,
Refuah shlema.
Lori Linder.
Refuah shlema. Okay.
Olivia DeGina,
Refuah shlema.
Lane Sokolov, Robert Hilla,
Refuah shlema.
and Martin Baker.
Refuah shlema. Yes.
James Basmajian,
Refuah shlema.
and Robert Lewis.
Refuah shlema. And in closing, we also pray for the health and welfare of the Muslim community of New Zealand and New Zealand in general.
Been to that
Refuah shlema.
child.
Let's read together the top left English paragraph. Help us,
Adonai, to lie down in peace, and awaken us again, our sovereign delight. Spread over us your shelter of peace. Guide us with your good counsel. Save us because of your mercy. Shield us from enemies and pestilence, from starvation, sword, and sorrow. Remove the evil forces that surround us. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings, O God, who watches over us and delivers us, our gracious and merciful ruler. Guard our coming and our going. Grant us life and peace now and always. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Praise to you, Adonai, who spread a shelter of peace over us, over all his people in Israel, on Jerusalem and the entire world.
Ufros aleinu sukat shalomecha, Baruch atah Adonai, haborei sukat shalom aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim, v'al kol ha'olam kulo. Amen. Page 34, the Vishamru.
Veshamru Israel et Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורות הבאים עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות הבאים עולם. ונאמר בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות הבאים עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות הבאים עולם. וביום השביעי שבת בי נפש, שבת בי נפש, שבת בי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות הבאים עולם. יתגדל ויתקדש שבת. אמן. ועלמא דברת חיותו ויבריך מלכותם. וקיים אדוני ימיך וחיי כל בית ישראל. עד העולם ובזמן קריב אמרו אמן. יש רבה ומבורך לעולם לעולם היה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהלל ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי קודשם ולהבין כל ברכתה ושירתה שלוש ברכתה ונחמתה נעמייה בעלמא
Page 35b, and concluding on page 38, after which you may be seated. full Kaddish on page 48 and proceed directly to the Kiddush so as to allow time for a mini meditation. Okay, full Kaddish 48.
תתקבל אצלות ולבעותו לכל ישראל, כדברות משמעיה והימרו. יהי שלם הרב אמין שמיה, וחיים עלינו על כל ישראל והימרו. עושה שלום במרומה, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו, ועל כל ישראל, וכל יושבי תבל, והימרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומה, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו, ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל יושבי תבל, והימרו
You have your choice of wine or juice.
Wine?
Yes, chicken.
Wine?
I'll be back. Wine back here?
Oh, you got
Winos are in the
wine?
back of the room.
She has wine?
There's wine.
All right, just tap her on the shoulder.
Okay.
Thanks, Joey. I need another one. Juice, thank you, my dear. That's very sweet.
Anyone back there need juice?
Excuse me?
Juice?
I got my juice there.
Oh, can you give him?
We want to thank our Macharot for this evening.
Back there, okay?
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, kolei pari hayamim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kideshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratza banu, v'shabbat kodosho me'ahava v'ratzon yilich לנו זיכרון למעשה בראשית ויום תחילה למקראי קודש זכר יציאת מצרים תהיינו בחג
Take a couple of minutes for the Macharot to pick up the cups. Well, if you got more than one Machar, you've got Macharot.
We're the macaron chiefs.
Okay.
Macaron, not macaron. I know that you are thinking
There were girl group in the 60s.
Almonds or coconut?
Thanks, honey.
Okay, you may be seated. I'm going to attempt a All right, it's not the easiest thing to do with a time when you don't have much time. We've done this in the past for a longer period of time. It's a guided meditation with a little help from Mozart, who sadly was not Jewish. I want you to close your eyes. I want you to get as comfortable as you can on the pews. I want you to breathe. Breathe deeply. As you breathe, I want you to banish from your mind any worries, any concerns, anything that might be weighing on your conscience. We breathe in, we breathe out. I'm going to count from 10 down to 1. Whenever I count, I want you to feel yourself sinking more and more deeply into a meditative state. And breathe in, breathe out. Here there are no worries, there are no concerns. 10, breathe in, breathe out. 9, we become more and more relaxed. 8, you feel the restfulness starting at the top of your head, going down the back of your neck. 7, the relaxing feeling spreads out from the base of your neck, which is so often painful area. The relaxation spreads out through your shoulders, down your arms, through your elbows, which have been giving you some issues lately. 6, you feel the meditative restfulness penetrate your chest, continuing to travel down the body. 5, now we are at your hips. The relaxed feeling goes all the way through your thighs, your knees, down into your calves and shins, your ankles, ending at your feet. 5, we open our minds to a meditative journey. 4, we are completely relaxed. We can slump a little bit in our seats. 3, again the relaxation feeling began in our minds, ended at our feet. 2, we listen to the music. The music has the power to carry us off to a distant place. 1, we are completely relaxed. We are walking through the desert. There is sand, yes, but there are also flowers that perfume the air with their presence, and palm trees, date palms, that sway gently in the wind. It's a beautiful day. The sun is shining, but it's not too hot. It can get insufferably hot in the wilderness. But we are on our way to meet someone or some group of people. We continue walking, and from a distance, we see a very colorful object. It appears to be a tent covered with skins and cloths of many colors. We come closer. We breathe deeply to inhale the smell of the desert flowers that perfume our path. And as we get closer, we see our distant ancestors, all the Israelites who escaped from Egypt, wearing the most beautiful robes you have ever seen, all different colors, red and yellow and saffron. We get closer to the object. It is a tent. It is the Ohel Moed, the tent of meeting. And in front is a gigantic brass altar that the high priest reaches by a ramp The entire complex is surrounded by a fence made of linen cloths, white, pure white linen cloths hung on poles. And we cannot see inside the tent, but we know it contains two very important objects: the 7-branched menorah, the candlestick. Sometimes all 7 branches are lit, sometimes 3, sometimes just 1. And that single candle reaching up to God is mimicked today in every synagogue by the Ner Tamid, the eternal light. And in front of the menorah is a box, a wooden box coated inside and out with gold, and on top a pair of cherubim. This is God's footstool. This is the Aron Kodesh. As we watch the sacrifice, the smoke of the sacrifice reaches up to heaven. It is not an animal sacrifice, it is an incense offering. And the smell of the incense permeates the air, and if anything makes us feel a little bit more spiritual. And now, sadly, we have to cut short our journey to the wilderness, to the tent of meeting, the Ohel Moed, to the Mizbeach, the altar where sacrifices were made. I want you to breathe deeply. I'm going to count from 1 to 10. As I count, you slowly, slowly move out of the meditative state. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Open your eyes. All right, we'll proceed. I think this is the part where Rita makes her announcements. Our wonderful temple president, Ms. Rita Fleming Klein. And we'll even turn on the light.
Good Shabbos, everyone. I'm so relaxed, I hope I remember what to say. First of all, I want to thank Mr. Stephen Laskin and family for sponsoring our Onik tonight. We have a very special, beautiful, wonderful, sweet table for you tonight in honor of Steve's late father. He has yahrzeit for him today. We welcome you both, you and your partner, to our temple. We're so happy to have you, and a lovely new couple. And I'm sorry I didn't catch your names, but I will afterwards, I promise. Well, welcome. It's a pleasure to celebrate Shabbat with all of you and to be here in our beautiful synagogue together. Tomorrow is our more traditional service, followed by Rabbi's class, which will be...
We haven't done it for a while. We're going to go back to Kabbalah, but this time the text will be Howard Schwartz, who is a professor of Jewish anthropology at the University of Missouri.
Rabbi's an amazing teacher. He also has classes on Wednesday, an adult Hebrew class at 4:30, and a current events class at 7 o'clock. Cantor Javier, who is also a very gifted teacher, does a class on diving into the Siddur on Thursdays after Minyan. Monday and Thursday mornings at 8:45 are Minyan. We need you. We're one of the very most fortunate synagogues in that we still do have our morning Minyans, and they are well attended, but we would like to have you with us. It's a wonderful way to start the day, so if you're up early, please do come. This Wednesday is Oh, wait, Sunday first. First Sunday, we are going to have the showing of an incredible award-winning film called The Accountant of Auschwitz. It's being shown at 7 o'clock in the big sanctuary, and it's an important film. One of the producers of the film will be with us, Randy Kirschenbaum, to introduce the film as well as to do a Q&A afterwards. It's an important movie. It's won awards in the United States, in Canada, and in Europe, and in Israel. So please do not miss it. On a lighter note, Wednesday is Purim. Come in a costume. Wear a funny hat. Just come. We're doing pizza and Megillah. We're doing a little Purim presentation, which is going to be a lot of fun. It's at 6 o'clock. Please join us, really, for a wonderful evening. What?
Rabbi's class is still Wednesday?
No. We can't do pizza and Megillah and Rabbi's class.
We're going to be drinking wine.
Yeah, we're going to be
The same
having.
on Thursday morning. Thursday morning there is no my class because
Right,
the service is going to be longer and we're going to be schnappen.
Right. Thursday morning will be the reading of the Megillah Esther. So come, it will be wonderful. And this will be the first time that we have Cantor Javier with us reading Megillah Esther. And we're very thrilled about that. Call the office about Purim. Just come on Sunday. We've asked for reservations. If you haven't made it, it's okay. Just come. 7 o'clock Sunday, 6 o'clock on Wednesday for Purim. And on April 19th, we are already taking reservations for the first Seder. It will be wonderful. It's a very special dinner. We have a brand new caterer. He's not brand new in business, but he's brand new to us. And he's quite wonderful. So it'll be a fully served 5-course dinner. If you have any special needs as far as what you would like to eat or cannot eat, call the office. But come, we want to celebrate this together. Maybe some of you are like my wonderful husband and myself, where our family is far away. And you are always our family anyway, every Shabbat and every day of the week. But on holidays especially, it is a time, if family's not there, that feels a little bit lonesome. But it's not lonesome when we're together. So please come and celebrate with us. Keep your bulletins with you, check them out. If I've left out anything, I apologize, but I wish you all a sweet Shabbat.
Laura's class on Monday morning.
Laura's class on Monday morning.
I won't
Thank
tell
you.
her.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay. Okay, Cantor and I agreed how to end the service. That's a good thing to know.
Service is over.
I know he's never read the Megillah before, and I've never done the Aleinu, so,
Aleinu on page.
okay, we have to open the Ark. We're going to ask Arthur and Ida Schwartz to honor us by opening the Ark. Sure. Thank you.
51.
Shalom,
All right, I'm going to ask you all to please remain standing. Sadly, this same week where we mark the loss of our Muslim American brothers and sisters, there's also Shabbat Zachor, the Sabbath of Remembrance, where we mark the time when, exhausted from being up all night and the 10th plague, we were struggling along the Sea of Reeds, only to be attacked in the rear guard by Amalek in most cowardly fashion. And so we are commanded to remember Amalek. Amalek, the Pshat, the simple meaning, is the anti-Semites, people who don't like us. Mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabba, Amen. Yalmad yivrach Yerusei v'yamlich malchusei. V'chayevon v'yimechon v'chayei v'chol Beit Yisrael. V'galal v'zman b'riv v'yiru, Amen. Yehi Shemei Rabba v'yivarach v'yolam v'yam Yisparach v'yishabach v'yifa'ar v'yitrumam v'yitasei. V'yitadar v'yitalei v'yitabal Shemei v'gusha v'richu. V'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata v'yiram yalma v'yimru, Amen. Yehi Shlomo Rabba ben Shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'yiru, Amen. Asay Shalom v'yamah v'yasay Shalom v'aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'yiru, Amen.
Amen.
Amen. All right, please be seated. We'll finish up with the Adon Olam on page 54.
Adon Olam asher malach v'terem kol yetzir nivra le'nasa v'chetzot kol asay melech shebo nikra. To ולך שמו נקרא, ואחרי כיכרות הכל, לבדו ימלוך נורא, והוא היה והוא עובד, הוא יהיה ותפארה, אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל רציני ולעת עשה וחצו כל עשה, ולך שמו נקרא, ואחרי כיכרות הכל, לבדו ימלוך נורא, והוא היה והוא עובד, ותפארה, והוא היה והוא יהיה, ותפארה.
Please rise for the closing benediction.
יברכך אדוני וישמרך,
Lord bless you and keep you.
יאיר אדוני פניו אליך ויחונך,
And Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you.
יישא אדוני פניו אליך וישם לך שלום.
And Lord turn his face unto you and grant you peace. We'll say amen.
Amen.
אמן. שבת שלום, שבת שלום.